So when I wanted to get back into comics, I started with YouTube because YouTube is where I live. It's the only content I generally consume. I don't read a lot of blogs. I stay off Reddit and places like that. And I found a couple of comic review channels out there. This is about 3 months ago. Subscribe to them, enjoy them. Um, I noticed an interesting trend is most of the outside of the couple of channels that basically just read the comics um, and don't add anything original. They're basically just infringing on copyright. The next biggest set of channels are channels that generally are what I would call like spurned fans, fans of comic books, but not fans of the way comics are being handled in the last 5 years or so. Um, I made a lot of connection to the way my favorite pastime, Magic the Gathering, is being handled. And so I immediately was drawn to learn more about this. And earlier, it started 5 days ago on September 11th, where some comic book writer who happens to write for G.I. Joe tweeted out some pretty terrible stuff. And I made a video about this Joker and said, you know, in general, I have to stay true to my opinion on free speech and that the guy shouldn't be fired for tweeting something. But what should happen is people should just not buy his book and then the open market will handle it. And I think that's what's happening. The Joe culture is extraordinarily committed. It keeps the franchise alive when they have bad comic books. I mean, G.I. Joe comes in and out of popularity, but the hardcore Joe fandom is the one that keeps it around. And when you come out and criticize people for feeling patriotism, for feeling sorrow for the biggest terrorist attack in American history, in general, that's not going to go over well, especially when you consider the type of people that like reading patriotic military comics like G.I. Joe. The industry in and of itself has been facing a lot of backlash because they've kind of gone the road of, letting social justice, in some people's opinions, ruin a lot of books or at least take the forefront. Books are unrecognizable to most people nowadays. Hulk is a woman, Captain America is a Nazi. As somebody coming back into comic books, it's like I immediately want to turn around and go back out. But instead, I've decided to try and stay and fight to bring comics back to where I can enjoy them. Now, there are lots of really good nuggets out there. Mr. Miracle is a great one that I picked up. Some of the Marvel books are okay. Some of the DC books were okay. But it's been hard to find something that really spoke to me like things did back in the day. So there's been this ongoing culture clash between comic books fans, in my opinion, and people who pretend to be comic book fans to get a job for Marvel or IDW or DC, and then they come in and they crap all over everyone's favorite books. And then, right now comic sales are in the tank. And it's kind of coming to a head now where you're seeing some of this coordinated assault that you saw a lot with Gamergate on the whole gamers are dead crap. And it started with this terrible junk website. You know what it is. On Friday, I believe it was, I saw this article break. And I saw it because people were retweeting about it, how trash it was. What's happening, I think, is comics are selling terribly. 5, 10, 20,000 sales on most titles. 30,000 kind of puts it in the upper tier. There's a few out there that are moving in the 6 digits, but very few. And usually it's like issue 1 and then nothing else because comic books people always buy issue 1. So I think what's happening is comic pros are getting a lot of backlash on Twitter. This is where these type of people live. Social justice warriors live, breathe, and die on Twitter. That's how they entirely live their lives. And there's kind of been a new champion raised to the top, and I've talked about him before. I'm a fan of his channel. I'm a Patreon of him as well. And it's Diversity in Comics. He's got, he's not a huge channel, but it's really telling how scared the comic book industry is of a one man with 30,000 subscribers. You see comic pros and comic journos basically coordinating, trying to squash this one man with a YouTube channel because they know he's right, in my opinion. If you put things in perspective, the average video he uploads, and he'll upload several a day, will get like 10 to 20,000 views a day. And he's probably getting 40,000 views a day on, his total videos, or backlog, maybe 50,000. The point is, way more people are watching his video than are reading these comic books. And I think the comic industry has to see this. They have to know that the group of people that want to buy comics confidently versus the group of people that like the existing scenario are hugely different. Okay? If everybody subscribed to his channel and maybe Captain Cummings were to buy a single issue, all right, it would be it would be in the top 10 selling comics in the entire industry, probably top 5. Okay? So you can't dismiss their size. And I think comics, I would hope that they see, boy, these channels that basically are not really happy with the way a lot of comics are being handled right now keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And their average views are 20, 30, 40,000 views. And we work forever on a comic book that 5,000 people buy. Eventually there's got to be somebody inside of Marvel or inside of DC or IDW that's like, geez, I'd like to pay my bills. Maybe if we could just, make a few small changes and these 30, 40,000 people start buying comic books again, that's going to make a difference. And what we see is now instead doubling down. Bleeding Cool writing a basically trash hit piece. PSA, one of the biggest proponents, and I'll put links to the archive.is to both of these, is a well-known anti-diversity troll. First of all, he is not anti-diversity if you watch his channel at all. It's funny, he has like a Muslim daughter and I think a Hispanic son. So they just really picked the wrong target. And if that's true, I thought like maybe he made that up and he would be like the most genius troll of all time, but he's had his Muslim daughter in videos with him, right? So they write this complete BS article and are entirely attacking the man. And you can read through this, but it's just so hilarious. They basically take his sensationalist titles, and then they don't watch the video, and they just insert what the video's about. And they keep saying he's anti-woman or he's anti-gay, and he's not. Watch a few of his videos. Like, would I say he doesn't like women? No. I would say he likes his women to look like women, which most men do. He's not a fan of basically turning Miss Marvel into a boy. Most people aren't. Maybe that's why nobody's buying the book. But instead, it has to be about him not liking women, which is, of course, absurd. And they use the same social justice words like targeted. Megs Visaggio, which is a man, a trans man or whatever, he or she has tweeted out some heinous stuff about attacking all cis people with a baseball bat. And so people respond to that. And of course, she or they are not responsible at all for any backlash. No. It's only the people that respond. If this idiot would never tweet stupid crap like that, people wouldn't be adding her on Twitter. It's pretty obvious. With the Heather Antos milkshake crew, I mean, you put yourself out there, you use the platform that Marvel gave you, and then you use it to play the victim. I mean, Megs Visaggio has had freaking GoFundMes to get rid of bedbugs. She's got a GoFundMe for a new wig. I mean, this is a grifter. And I mean, these people are not good people. And it's like, you look at he writes 2 paragraphs. What is it about SJWs and always saying like, oh my God, they're getting rich. They did this to Sargon of Akkad. Same crap here. His Patreon earns a not insignificant $702 a month. I mean, that should tell you about what these people make. I mean, $700 a month after Patreon fees and taxes is almost, I mean, it is insignificant. I mean, yeah, we can all say, yeah, I'll take an extra $400 a month. But I mean, he dedicates a whole paragraph to talking about insinuating that he's basically getting rich off a $700 Patreon account that he uses to produce a comic. I mean, these people couldn't be more wrong. And instead, if you just read the comments, I don't know why they do this. It's just, yeah, look at the very first comment. Not trying to play devil's advocate here, but 40,000 followers on YouTube is more than almost every ongoing series at Marvel ships in a month. Not sure what's so sad about that. Like, I mean, it's just like, it is just, okay. And then today, I think, or later that day, they double down, right? This is what these people do. It's a big influx of traffic for them. They're happy about it. And they bring in this moron, Nick Spencer. And it's like, Nick Spencer calls out critics on both sides for fostering harassment. No, he's not. He's not. I mean, let's see where we said. Tell funny stories about cat to attempt to here. When you fire people up to some extent, some do, you are playing with something dangerous. There's a way to voice criticism responsibly. So what Nick Spencer is saying is, yeah, these comic pros, telling everybody who doesn't like that you crapped on 9/11 to F off, yeah, you did kind of rile people up. But it's really the critics. It's the critics that are the problem. Instead of taking feedback, constructive feedback about the comic, no. You're the problem, not us. We have it all figured out. We know what we're doing, even though comic sales are some of the worst they've ever been since the comic crash. Just keep churning out the garbage. I talked to a lot of creators who are canceling shows, needing security for shows, going to shows stressed out. Bull. Show me the receipts. Show me the receipts. And it's just, all these people are exactly the same. And we are now basically, I mean, I think this has been bubbling under the surface for a year, maybe two. But you can see with the growth of a lot of these comic channels, while I comment on them, I'm not a dedicated comic book channel. I don't have a strong affiliation to many titles in comic books, but I do enjoy them. And I'm kind of bummed out that when I wanted to take a break from Magic, I was going to get into comics and just how bad it had gotten. And I'm really hopeful that some of this feedback is taken. Like, I don't want to see Aubrey Sitterson fired for his opinions. I want the book to tank, and then I want changes to be made. They don't have to make huge sweeping announcements. They don't have to issue press releases. What I want to see is some of these writers that hate the fans, that spend all day churning out mediocre comics and then sparring with critics, or as they say, trolls, because, anyone who disagrees with these people is, of course, a troll. I just want them out. They can go find something else to do. They can work on, move them in the company even. But this has to stop, or comic books are really, really going to hit a new low. And I don't understand why a company who needs to make money, I mean, at some point you would think they will start listening. This particular issue with Hasbro getting involved with IDW and the G.I. Joe thing, it's going to be really telling if this thing carries through the weekend or not. These articles dropped on this website on a Friday. And generally outrage, it lasts like a day or two on the internet. But this article refueled everything. And if it carries through the weekend, and if Aubrey Sitterson keeps tweeting stupid crap, or Mags Visaggio, or Heather Antos, if they keep poking the bear, they're going to bring upon a change, I think, that isn't going to be something that I'm a huge fan of. And they're going to be even less of a fan of it because they're going to be gone. And I guess for the hardcore fans of comics, I would probably be happy for them. But this one's gonna get worse before it gets better. Definitely would love to hear what your thoughts are on down below.